Well, before we go back to our sword and improve it, we're going to do a different sprite. In this case, we're going to do an apple. And we're going to use what we've learned of creating a circle and what we've learned of shading. And with a little bit of luck, we're going to add some texture to our sprite. So let's do a new one. It's going to be 100 by 100 because we don't need to make it the same size as the sprite will be, but we don't need so much more extra space. So I'll get a selection, a circular selection. I'll choose fixed size, 20 by 20, because that's how big the apple is going to be. The body of the apple will still have a stem and then a leaf. And we'll click somewhere to get the selection. And we're going to fill that in by using our paint bucket. And we're going to fill that in with a color that we think looks close to the color of an apple. So 150, 30, and 50, so it's easy to remember. Okay, so that's color one. And it doesn't look like an apple, it looks like a circle. So let's change the shape just a little so that it looks a little more like an apple. Now, I'll sketch something on the side. Well, an apple is more like this, right? It depends on the apple, obviously, but the red one that we're drawing here is actually more like that. It's a little more tapered to the top. So let's, on the top here, let's cover up the pixels by adding exactly the same pixels that we have underneath, like that, okay? Let me show you the new pixels that I'm adding in a different color. So it's basically picking up these ones and moving them up, okay? So moving up, up, one up, in this case, two to the side, and there, okay? And now, or it's pretty much adding a row of pixels. And we want to do something about the bottom here. I'm still not sure what, but we want to do something about it as well. So let me cover that up. And I think at the bottom we need to have an extra pixel there, or maybe not. Okay, I know what to do. We should be like this, this. So it's the same. No, it's not the same. We can't do the same. Okay, just add a different, just add those two pixels there, there and there. Okay? And now I could either go on to the other side and do the same thing, or I could just copy this half and paste it onto the other half. So change to the rectangular marquee tool. Try and select half. Even if you don't select half, that's all right, okay? I'm gonna select more than half just as an example. And I'll just copy this, Control C, and paste it. And now that's a new layer on top of my image. Now I press Control T as the same as added free transform, and then right click, and from the free transform, I'll pick flip horizontal, and it flips what I have selected horizontally. And now you can see that I can just go in and position my layer where I want. I think here is a good place to put it. The problem now is that this is one layer and the bottom is a different layer. I think I just exaggerated there with my undos. There we go. So what do I do? Well, I pick the layer on top and the bottom one, and I merge them by pressing Control E, or going in at this little menu, which actually is off the screen. So layer, and then merge layers. Okay, so now everything is on the background. We don't need to worry that much right now about layers. We'll worry about layers in the future. So now we need to shade this, okay? And we need to shade this, so I'm going to make a new color, which is sort of halfway up, okay? 240 and 70. 40, whoops, 40 and then 70. And I'll shade this in. Now, if this was a circle or a sphere, I would shade it like this. And then just go in and put the color there. But it's really not. An apple is slightly different. It's a mix between a sphere and, if you think about it, a donut, actually. So we need to have a bigger highlight here at the top, okay? And then a little bit here. So in essence, the transition from light to dark is going to happen like that, okay? Because I'm considering that my light is on the left, so my light source is here. and it shouldn't be such a strong curve, but it should be a notion that there is a slight variation of shape. Because if you don't do a value change, people never gonna read it as a form change, as a change in volume. So something like that. We also want to remember that we have a stem coming out, so I'm going to paint a little bit of dark here, just as a reference for where my stem is going to actually come out of the apple. And we're adding this color to the palette as well. And now let's make a new one, which is going to be not fully to the top, a little more to the side. Let's do, okay, so 250 or 240, then 80, and then 100. And that's okay, and that's paint a highlight there. And this time we don't want a circular one, we don't want an elliptical one, we want something that is both quite long and has a sort of shape to it, because it's obeying the sort of donut part of the apple, which is the top part, and the bottom part. Those are sort of half donuts. Okay, so now you have, let me fix that a little bit more. Now we have our apple, which is, for now, it's shaded. But I know that some of you are looking at this and thinking, that actually looks quite like a cherry. And that's one of the reasons why people doing apples for video games or for any other sort of thing tend to not use red apples, but more the green ones, because there's not a lot of other fruits that kind of match the same look. But in this way, I'd rather use this one. So now let me create the stem, and for that I'm going to make a yellowish brown, 180, and then 50, and it's just going to be 1 pixel up, and once it's out of the silhouette of the apple, I'm going to make it like that, and you're thinking, ooh, he's doing jaggies, or jagged lines, or double pixels. I'm actually just increasing the width of the stem as it goes up, okay? And since we're here, we're going to do the leaf. Now the leaf is going to be an isometric line, like that. And then we'll do some few pixels under and above. Okay, something like that. Now I want to make the leaf different from the stem, so I choose the green. And I don't want it to be too strong, so right in the center, 120, 130, and 70. And I'm going to shade all the leaf, even though we're going to change it in a second. Now, if you think of a leaf, think about a sheet of paper. Fold the sheet of paper in half and then open it up back again. You will see that one of the sides of the paper has a different value. It's either lighter or darker, depending on which one you're looking at. So in this one, we're going to bring this up. So 170, 180, and then just 100. And I tend to shade the bottom part because I believe that usually the bottom part is facing the light a little more. One other thing that you might have noticed so far is that we have not used an outline, okay? And we'll leave that for another lesson, because the outline that we're going to use also comes with other aspects rather than just being a black line around the apple. So I'll see you there.